Let's go football. And a lot of Flying Kiwis action, but first I want to start with the All White squad. We had an All White squad named to take on Mexico and USA in September. What dates are we looking at in September? Mexico, 8th of September, 8th of September New Zealand time, September 11th, RIP, they play the USA. Ooh, that's not a good omen for the USA.
Anniversary game.
We know the All Whites are going to win that one. I'm going to talk that into existence. All Whites versus USA, they'll get the dub there. Very strong squad. Barbarouses, Bell, Bindon, Garbutt, Boxall, Cacache, Crocombe, Just, Old, Paulson, Payne, Pinecker, Rufus, Sale, Singh, Smith, Stamenic, Sherman, Ben Wayne, Dawkins, Wood. First question before you break this down. Sarpreet Singh, unattached. We are the sons of Sarpi. What's he doing? Where's he at?
I don't know. I was still waiting for that one. There's been a lot of these ones where there's just like feels like some of these transfer things are dragging on longer than I would like them to. And there's always the longer they drag on, the because of the timelines of when certain seasons kick off, there's always like the longer it takes, the more it starts to feel like, well, they're just going to end up back in the A-League, which is what's happened with Grace Jale signing with the Wellington Phoenix, which is cool. Well, I was hoping she would go to Europe, but I also think just either way, she needs a settled club. Her situation's been a weird one because she had a good, promising breakthrough year with the Phoenix, top scorer. Then she left to Canberra. Was it Canberra? Yeah, Canberra the first year away. Played mostly on the wing. Was pretty good. Got some good assists there. But then left to Perth the year after and started amazing. Scored 3 goals in her first 4 games. Didn't score again the entire rest of the season. Now she's back at the Phoenix, so she has a different club every year, and it's sort of she's someone who I've heard mentioned by a couple of Football Ferns players when they're asked to talk about like the great young talent coming through their squad. They will mention Millie Clegg and Macy Fraser, and Grace Jale is someone who's been included in a few of those things, and I just have not. I like Grace Jale a lot as a player. I'm not seeing it on that level yet. So, and for a long time there, I was wanting her to be a striker for the Football Ferns. Like, let's see the alternative here. Let's see what that looks like. And we did see it for a bit. And I kind of don't think that's the answer either. Like, I've changed my mind on that. I've gone back around, and so I'm not sure she's got like the ruthless finishing streak to be that type of striker that the team needs. I've gone back to really liking her as just a wide midfielder or as a secondary striker, or someone playing off, or even potentially if the opportunity arises as a number 10. So I'll be very curious to see how she is used for Wellington Phoenix, because that is a big signing for them. There's a regular international Football Ferns player who they've been able to coax back to Wellington. That's a big deal for the Wellington Wahine. But back on topic with the All Whites, don't think Sarpreet Singh will end up in the A-League. I think he's going to have too many options, but I just don't know where it is yet. And the most of the seasons have now kicked off. He's a free agent, so he's not bound by the transfer windows. Maybe he's just waiting to see, like he's got a few options, and maybe they're like, well, we're trying this guy in the transfer window, and if that doesn't work, we'll come back to you afterwards because we know you'll still be available because you're a free agent. Maybe it's a situation like that. Maybe he wants to wait till after another All Whites thing. Maybe he was hoping the Olympics would be the kind of spotlight for him, and it didn't quite happen in the way he would have liked it to. I don't know. But yeah, he is unattached. There was a rumor a little while ago that Des Buckingham's team, Oxford United, were interested, and maybe QPR in the English Championship and amongst other sort of English league teams. We know he's got some connections in Germany because that's where he's played all of his club career post A-League. So we'll just have to wait and see. But if he brings about a big failure for the USA on September 11th, then maybe that'll be the culmination for him. We'll see.
You have like always talked up Sarpreet Singh as one of the most important players for the All Whites when they are playing. When he is playing for the All Whites, his influence and his abilities genuinely impact games for the All Whites. So in theory, him playing for the All Whites should be a good shop window, especially in theory against some high profile ish nations in Mexico and USA.
You'd hope so. Mexico and USA might also be a little bit gettable too. I'm noticing, like, I'm writing the squad roundup piece now because they announced it on like a Friday evening or some stupid thing where it's like, how to, give me some time here. So I'm working on that one now, having got the Flying Kiwi stuff out and researching into these teams. They've both changed their managers recently, and I don't think Mauricio Pochettino is going to be there for USA in time for this series. It sounds like they're going to have an interim coach, and then Pochettino will take over in the next window because there's some stuff they've got to figure out about. I don't know exactly what it is because he got sacked by Chelsea, but often with those things, there might be like a restriction of trade kind of clause. Like, we don't want you coaching somewhere else if we're going to give you a £50 million payout or some stupid thing or whatever. It wouldn't have been that high, but if they're paying him a big excess, they might not want him to go take another coaching gig in the very next year after that. I don't know, but well, that'll get sorted out. I think that's a terrible appointment. I just think that's the type of manager who's going to be really good at club level and not at international level, because he's a training ground manager, and you just don't have enough training sessions with a national team to be able to get those kind of ideas through. So that is an adapt or fail situation, and it is a good sign that American soccer is still making silly calls with their managerial stuff, because that's an opportunity for the All Whites to swoop in and put the cat amongst the pigeons some more. But Mexico also changed their manager. I think Mexico have had like 4 managers in the last 4 years or something. They just get a little bit restless every time they underperform at a major event. There was one, it's like a Nations League or something like that, or a CONCACAF tournament where they did badly at, so they sacked their manager, brought in an interim for the Gold Cup, and then they won the Gold Cup. So they're like, well, you get to be our full-time manager. Then they go to Copa America, don't do very well, and then he's sacked. So now there's a new coach coming in for these series. It might even be his first opportunity as head coach too. So suddenly the All Whites look weirdly stable in comparison to some of these other countries where we've just got steady old Bays, Darren Baisley, who's not far from the most exciting name you could have figured out, but then also the guy who they were going to hire instead of him, John Herdman. Every time he's in the news, it's bad news. So, like, he's now being talked about like he was the guy who invented the old drone scandal stuff in Canada. Apparently, he just started that when he was coaching the men's team. So, whether that's true or not, it probably is.
Is that a new develop? Like, what's the latest? Is that the latest?
A couple of weeks ago,
But
yeah,
the latest thing he's done is be found out for the drone scandal.
Well, he hasn't coached Canada for a year or so. He's gone back to MLS and is coaching Toronto's team. But in going back through the whole thing, which there's been some... I didn't find this until a little bit after, but Ali Riley had done like an Instagram thing with like just a little post-series chat thing with Rebecca Stott and Katie Bowen, who were her roommates, which as part of it, this was after the Olympics, but before they left. So on their big bender night out, there's a clip there of Rebecca Stott pretty drunkenly explaining how she sort of found the drone stuff. And she turns out to just be like a self-proclaimed drone enthusiast. And so she's talking about, yeah, I heard it was the so-and-so model, that kind of serial number thing. And that sounds a little bit strange. And then the video continues with them hungover the next morning having more of a chat about the Olympics and the Olympic experience, which is quite funny. But yeah, there's actually a photo of Rebecca Stott with the cop who found the drone, which is a good old laugh that we somehow, New Zealand football, have just instigated the downfall of Canadian football, which includes somehow this has just worked out cosmically to implicate John Herdman, who they wanted to be the All Whites coach, who rejected them as the All Whites coach after saying he might take it and then leading them on. And then there was that whole weird drama, which ended up with Baisley getting that job. And now New Zealand football have somehow managed to get their revenge, their belated revenge, it seems, because it sounds like that might have been might have been his idea way back when. That's sort of just been carried on, and yeah, there's probably plenty more to come on that saga. I don't know that we care particularly beyond the point that we've gotten to what happens with the Canadians, but that's good laugh how
Well,
that's come about.
is it an actual downfall of Canadian football? Or is it just like they had a drone scandal and that's kind of breezing
It'll
past it?
probably just be someone loses their job,
Yeah.
someone else comes in, and then that's done, you know. And I suspect it's probably, I highly doubt Canada are the only team doing this kind of stuff either. I
But
think it's probably a
they
lot more common than people realize.
did they perform badly at the Olympics? Either team?
Uh, the men weren't there. The women, I can't remember, but they were defending champs and they didn't win. So someone beat them somewhere along the way. I
That's
think they
cool.
might have lost in the semis or the quarters or something.
Who like integrate the Flying Kiwis context for us here? Who in this All White squad are you really interested about their Flying Kiwis mahi? Because I've seen Elijah Just seems to have got a new deal. We've had Dalton Wilkins. He's the one of the least experienced players in the squad. I've seen him in the Flying Kiwis a few times recently as well. Now he's in the All White squad. To add to his three caps, maybe. Who are some interesting Flying Kiwis chaps that you found? I also saw your Joe Bell assist. He got an assist and he's back in the squad. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm very happy to see Dalton Wilkins in there because I think he's really earned that with good performances in the Danish top division. And not just this season in the top division, but also the second half of last season as they were pushing towards promotion. I thought he played a lot more than I expected him to play. Turning out, I thought he was sort of going there to be the backup left back, and then he actually is getting starts at left back, at right back, and he's getting more of them than I expected. A little bit less so this year, but there's still that trend where when he has been on the pitch, Sonderski have been pretty good, and when he's not been on the pitch, they've been pretty bad. And they still haven't scored a goal without him being on the pitch there this season. So I'm glad not only that he's in there as a left back cover behind Libby Kakachi, but I also think there is potential he might, well, considering Tim Payne is in his off season, has been playing football recently, there is definitely a chance that Wilkins could be potentially even a starter at right back. He's capable of playing on either side. He's got two good feet there. So glad to see him in there. I think that's a cool and well earned selection. Other than that, there's no surprises here. And there's no surprises because kind of just the strongest all whites team they could have picked. The only absence is Callum McCallum, who's out injured, and maybe you might make a case for Matt Dibley-Diaz. But as much as we love the prospect of Matt Dibley-Diaz, like if you're just taking it for this transfer window, I don't know that he makes it on form anyway. Like whether he's trying to like whether he made himself available or not, I don't know. He's not being picked ahead of Joe Bell. He's not being picked ahead of Michael Stamenic. He's not being picked ahead of Matt Garbutt. These guys who've done a lot more than him for the All Whites and also in professional level. Is a dude he's on loan in League One right now. He's embedding himself at Northampton Town. It's not the highest. Like, we got a guy from the Premier League in this squad. We got a guy from Ligue 1 in this squad. We got a guy from Serie A in this squad. Dibley-Diaz is a hell of a prospect and very, very much hope. And I still kind of expect we will see him in an All Whites jersey one day. But for this group, no, I don't think that's a player who's been overlooked or anything. It's just that Callum McCallum injury is kind of the only one where you'd say, there you go. Because Wilkins is in there on form ahead of guys like McGarry or Sam Sutton as well. Like what Wilkins is doing is at a higher level and that higher level of football that he's playing at and a higher level in terms of his performance. So this is kind of just the strongest squad Bill Whites could have put out there under the circumstances, in which case I kind of think it might be the strongest squad the All Whites have ever selected. Like just the depth throughout there. There's three guys who've played 50 plus caps. Michael Boxall is going to play his 50th cap probably in the first game of this tour. So effectively four guys with big experience. You got your all-time leading scorer there in Chris Wood. You got this kind of this golden generation of players that we've had for a few years, they're only getting better every time they go away to their clubs. They come back to play national team. They go away to their clubs. They come back to play national team. They're getting better every time the window swings around. That's, guys like Kikache, Bell, Singh, Just, etc., etc. You've also got guys younger than that pushing through, like Ben Old, now playing in the top division in France, like who else would I check? Tyler Binden, massive prospect there. Alex Paulson, of course. Like, there's experience, there's extremely promising youth. There is a core of the team that has been settled now over the last few years. This is as good as it gets for the All Whites. And I don't know if that'll translate into results against these guys, because it's really hard to get results in international football. And the best All Whites squad ever is not getting anywhere close to the best Mexican squad ever or the best American squad ever, but we'll see what they look like on the day at this particular incarnation of each of those teams. That's a bloody good team. And yeah, there's some funky Flying Kiwis situations in there. I mentioned Wilkins. Who else would I highlight? Marco Stamenic is getting some decent games for Olympiacos, playing off the bench so far, but having a bit of an impact when he turns up. Yeah. Ben Old has started both games so far for St. Etienne. His most recent was the one behind me on the video, where big old packed out crowd. I also thought it was interesting. Packed out crowd for St. Etienne's first game back in the top flight, but packed out with the end stand closed off. So I don't know that in European football, that might not be a ticket selling issue. That might be a hooligan issue. We don't want them too close to the goalkeeper in case people throw stuff or something like that. But I did notice that. And what was otherwise pretty hectic crowd, but a bit of a disappointing performance from St. Etienne. Takachi had a nice little cameo off the bench.
But so you're saying at the Cake Tin in Wellington, when they close off part of the stadium, they're doing it for safety. No hooligans.
I think there are different reasons why places get closed off in different parts of the world. Maybe they just wanted Ben Old to feel comfortable in his first game. He just wanted to bring that ribbon. They might as well painted the seats yellow as well, just to go that extra.
So when the Blues are playing at Eden Park, they close off sections of the stadium. Like, nah, guys, you're too ruckus. You can't. They close off the sections where pitch invaders are most common from. Their route onto the pitch from here, you only got to jump over one fence and 3 seats or something. It's too easy. We'll have to close the whole section. That puts into perspective the Mount Smart crowd, because it's full. There's no closed off sections. There's no hooligans, and to the best of my knowledge at Mount Smart, there are very rarely pitch invaders. So they're just dominating everything. Nice work.
And when there's empty seats, it's just because people are sitting on the bank side normally, which is also a great view and a great experience. But yeah, this is a good white squad. The only risk maybe is some of these A-League guys that are in there. Who have we got from the A-League? Costa, Barbarousis. Yeah, Alex Paulson, I suppose, is back to being an A-League player. Tim Payne, Alex Rufer, Ollie Sale, and Tommy Smith, of course. And that's it. But those guys are not in season right now, whereas other guys have been going through pre-seasons. They are match fit. They're ready to go. But I also think the A-League guys in this All-8 squad, who did I mention there? The only one who might start is Alex Paulson. I don't think he will, because Max Crocom's actually made 6 of the last 7 starts for the All Whites. So he's kind of established, and he's playing pretty well for Burton Albion at the moment too. So yeah, good All White squad. Very good All White squad. And I mean, well, let's not put any pressure on it. Let's not put expectations on the tour. I just want to see these guys play. I won't say what they're going to do and the results. I just want to see them play. I want to see these guys out there and continuing to grow together as a representative football team of Aotearoa, which is pretty bloody good and maybe the best we've ever seen. And everyone's available except for Callum McCall for this one.
You did mention the Wellington Phoenix signing Grace Jale. Is there any other Wellington Phoenix news that we should know about?
Um, what did we mention the scholarship players last week? It might have been a subscriber
Yeah,
podcast
I
thing. They
think we
did
did
add,
in
yeah,
the
they did
subscriber
add
pod.
Ella Jerez, Ella McCann, Ella McMillan, and then Amy Daniele, who's not called Ella, as their four scholarship players. I might even write about this actually, because that gives us four scholarship players for the women's team, four scholarship players for the men's team. The men's team scholars are Luke Brooks Smith, who's a new one, Gabe Sloan Rodriguez. Matt Sheridan still has one, and I think Albie Kelly Heald still has one, but I kind of think Albie Kelly Heald might get upgraded and they might bring in maybe Dublin Boone or someone like that. I don't know, as a to replace him on the scholars list. But it's a nice little outline there of sort of where they're like the bridge between academy and first team. And the scholars generally, except for Albie Kelly Heald as a backup goalkeeper last year, all the scholars for both teams got minutes. So they got A-League minutes. They have either made debuts or they there's a couple of them have already made debuts of the scholars this year, but I don't think they were last year. So yeah, all those guys and girls would have been made A-League debutants. That's Wellington Phoenix Pathways doing nice things there. That's continuing onwards. There are some rumors about the Phoenix men maybe signing, I think, a Japanese midfielder or a little bit here or there, a little bit of chat here or there, but we're probably awaiting something like that. And I did mention the Grace Jale one already, so that was a big move from the Phoenix women. Things are falling together for both those teams. I think they're both that women have got like 15 or 16 players on board. I think the men have got 17 or 18 or so players on board, plus good academy systems behind them. National League will be starting up soonish as well, which will put some of that stuff in a bit more context. So they're just both churning along. They're doing what they need to do in their off seasons and their pre-seasons now, even, dare I say.
And it doesn't look like Auckland FC have made any signings or got any news either. So that's
Nah, nothing since Paulson, but I'm sure there's stuff in the works there. I was working on a piece on them too, whether I finish that this week or maybe that might be an early next week or weekend thing. But because they went on a little bit of a tour, they played some games in Australia, 3 games in Australia. They've um, continued to give some minutes to a few trialists. I think Nico Boxall is someone who I notice even starting games as a trialist. So I wonder if that might mean he's not actually a trialist anymore, and they just haven't announced anything. This remains to be seen. But they're doing all the training stuff. They're not only trying to put a squad together, they're also trying to build a team for the first time. At least the Wellington Phoenix have something to build off from last season. The Auckland FC are starting from scratch, so they've been working nice and hard, and they've seen a few patterns there, seeing some players getting good minutes, and um, Hiroki Sakai played most of those games over most of those friendly games. Now he seems to be getting in there. Didn't see Jake Brimmer in any of them, and that is I did see him pictured training with them since they've gone back to Auckland, so maybe he was just dealing with an injury or something like that. But I think Scott Galloway was playing games. So most of these guys, like most of the signings have been signed. I think it's just Brimmer and Ollie Middleton, who's one of their scholars who's been injured, who we haven't seen yet. Alex Paulson was playing games in Australia. He played the most recent 2 friendlies. He actually made a bit of a howler in the first game where he came off his line and didn't get to the ball in time, got rounded, and they scored from it. I think that was against Western Sydney. But yeah, they're just doing what they need to do. And on all three of those counts, A-League, Phoenix women, Phoenix men, Auckland FC men. Of course, the Auckland FC women's team doesn't start up for another year. They'll come in if things move to schedule. They'll turn up next year. Just steadily going about their business in preseason, I think.